when you make a choice, you'd be looking at like hello everyone, it's Luli, and today I will be talking about my first impressions of the otome game Piofiore Episodio 1926. Now, this game is a sequel of the main game Piofiore Fated Memories, so before you play this Episodio 1926, you will need to play the first one, which is Piofiore Fated Memories. So please bear that in mind, and also I may be including, info and spoilers from the main game, Fated Memories. So yeah, bear that in mind before you continue watching this video, and I will not be including any spoilers of Piofiore 1926. Okay, that was a mouthful. Also, before I start, if you like visual novels, if you like otome games, and if you just like fangirling over 2D guys, then you come to the right place, because I upload once, sometimes twice a week, and stream regularly. So if that's something you're interested in, please subscribe and click that bell button and you will not regret it. But anyway, let me start. So firstly, just like the vibe of the game, it was basically like playing Piofiore, but for the second time. So right now I have only completed Dante route, because how it works is every single route is the continuation from the best ending of the main game. So instead of having a common route, you would basically go straight into selection, where you pick which character you want to continue the game on from, which kind of is nice, because it means that you don't have to go through the common route over and over and over again. And also it means that you don't have to go through that to kind of try and get to the route you want. You can just go straight from the beginning. And yeah, so it kind of is a good idea to perhaps recap what happened in Piofiore. Don't get me wrong, like Fated Memories, don't get me wrong, like it did kind of jog my memory by saying certain things in this sequel, but obviously there were moments where I was like, oh man, I can't remember quite like what happened type of thing. So, and I have heard that in the otome subreddit, someone has posted kind of like the things that briefly, like a recap type of thing, like who died, who survived in each route, which may be good to have kind of like a scan through before playing the sequel. Note that although, you do perhaps want to recap, I think personally I would have felt a bit burnt out, because when I played Piofiore Fated Memories, after playing each of the routes, by the time I got to, I think, Gil, I was feeling very much like full up of the game. And then the finale route and, the other bits and pieces, I honestly was kind of like, okay, I'm done now, even though I really enjoyed this game. So unless you're like a die-hard fan, I think it may feel a bit burnout if you play the main game and then immediately move on to the sequel. Although this is obviously my personal feeling, and if you're a die-hard fan and you're like, oh my god, I'm sad this ended, I want more, then obviously the sequel is like your dream come true, because it's kind of like, now that it's over, it's not over because I've got more type of thing. But yes, from Dante's route, it really did feel like Piofiore Fated Memories, but doing it again with a different story. Now, it was really fun that there are some side characters that, I'm really sad aren't love interests, because even in Dante's route, I've come across, I think, three side characters. Four actually. Two of them you don't really see much of, but two of them, made a big appearance and you learn about. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want like a Piofiore fan disc to kind of explore those characters, because it was fun. It was fun, and they were really pretty. And Raoul, I won't really go into detail of who he is, obviously, because that's a spoiler, but his voice is so relaxing. Whenever he was talking, I felt like I was hearing like ASMR or something. So I'm really sad that he only appears here and there in Dante's route, and I don't know how much he's going to appear in the other routes, but I'm really hoping he's quite prominent, because his voice is so relaxing to listen to. In terms of like tragedy, I felt like maybe it was kind of at least for Dante, it felt kind of like the same level for me. It was obviously sad, but I think, I don't know if it's just me being very like, I keep on talking about my heart has like a diamond arm around it now. Although it was sad, I wasn't like, oh my God, this is horrific. I was just kind of like, oh, okay, that's really sad, if you know what I mean. And the true or happy end was really sweet. I really enjoyed that. So, it's very similar to Piofiore Fated Memories, the main game, in that, there's a true route and the tragic end, and that they both gave similar vibes, just obviously a bit different, at least for Dante's ending anyway. Now talking about system, I am so glad. So in Fated Memories, if you're still watching this, you've probably played it and you know what I mean. The status menu would just be like this lily, right? And depending on your choices, the lily supposedly would turn all like colorful or like really dark and dodgy, right? And you can tell like a good few choices down the road, but like when you make a choice, you'd be looking at like and even then it was really hard to tell whether it was like colored or whether it was still like it went the weird dodgy color. So I'm really glad to let you know that they have now added a percentage. And when you pick the correct choice, the percentage goes up, and you basically want to get it up to 100% and then pick the correct choices, because there are like middle tragic endings. Well, I call them tragic endings. They're basically short bad endings where Lily like dies or something happens to her. I say that like super casual, but you know what I mean. So basically the aim is to increase that percentage up to 100 while picking the correct options, because in Dante's route there were a couple that didn't affect the status percentage but clearly affected whether Lily would like something would happen to her, whether it would lead to a short bad ending or not. I fortunately picked the right options, but like later on I discovered that and I was like, oh, okay, thank God, because obviously if you want to just get through it, you may want to save before those moments. So yeah, I was really glad that they added a percentage rather than having to judge whether there's extra color there or not. Another thing, so this is actually a little bit like sad for me, is that there is no skip to next option function that I saw anyway. Please correct me if I am wrong, but as far as I could see, there was no skip to next function, so you did have to force skip through the bits that you have read. Again, you can toggle it so that you can skip through bits that you either already read or going through everything. And don't get me wrong, it's really fast, but I have been spoiled with the skip to next function, like skip to next option function. So without it, it does feel a little bit like, oh, I don't want to skip through this. The meanwhile thing is still there, where it pops up and you kind of watch it and see what's going on during that thing, which I thought was quite fun. Especially because, it means you can kind of learn what's going on in another person's life while you're experiencing either Lily or Dante or whatever. So that was good. Now, in Dante's route, I just looked through all the meanwhiles. I'm not sure if, I remember in, I think the main game, in some routes, you didn't want to look at certain ones because that would cause like problems in the route or something, as in like you'd end up going down the tragic route. I don't know how it works in this one, because honestly I'm trying to go in as blind as possible. But yeah, I don't know, I'd look into that and check walkthroughs beforehand if you're really worried about ending up down the bad endings. Another thing is that when you go through, there's this thing called Aria. Basically, if you check it, it gives you sort of snippets of what happened in the main game, but from the love interest's perspective. So for example, in Dante's route, there's a scene where Lily tries to escape the mansion and Dante gets back home right in the perfect time and catches her. Now you get to see that from Dante's perspective, and I think it's fun because obviously you don't get to experience that in the main game, so that's kind of like an added bonus, although you only get them when you go through the route. So you will need to go through the tragic endings and like the good endings and 100% Dante pretty much to get all those sort of point of view things. So I think that's kind of it. Oh, also the mouth doesn't move, which is really sad, but that's okay. I'm not like that fussed about it, and I'm sure not many people out there are fussed about that either. It was quite interesting to see that. So I think there were 6 chapters in total, but basically up to chapter 4 is like the same, and then as in like, you know, whether you go the tragic ending or a good sort of truth ending, it's the same. But then I think it was the 5th chapter or 6th chapter that it's like a completely different story depending on like what you end up down the route of, which I thought was fun because there are quite a few otome games out there which kind of just go, oh, okay, it ends here, because, you know, like, as in the way it splits isn't so exciting. It's just like a slight difference right at the end, whereas this, it was like a properly separate thing, which I thought was nice, because it like adds a lot more replayability, like a bit more depth, if you know what I mean. Each playthrough I think will take about maybe 6 hours, maybe 5 to 6 hours. It depends on, of course, whether you listen to the voice actor speak until the very end, whether you like just quickly read through it. I'm like half and half, so it took me about, I think, about 5 hours, like maybe 40 minutes per chapter, so 240 minutes for me. So yeah, actually that's all like 4 hours. But yeah, think 5 hours. Think of a stereotypical automate game and the love interest route in a game where like the love interest route is relatively long. So yeah, I think five hours, and without the common route, which is nice. The devs did kind of give a recommended order, but it's very like vague, like it's not strict, and that is to go Gilbert, then Orlok, then Nicola, then Yang, then Dante, then the Alternativa route, and then Henri. So I went for Dante immediately, but I didn't really feel that like spoilered. I went for him first because I just always felt like he suited Lily the most, in that obviously there's the whole they're meant to be together kind of thing, and also I think I'd like to get the poster boys done and over with because they aren't necessarily my type, but I'm not gonna lie, he has a really pretty face, so I was happy. And Ishikawa Kaito's voice is it's music to the ears. But yeah, that kind of sort of briefly sums up my first impressions of the game. So in conclusion, it was basically like playing Piofiore Fated Memories, but for the second time. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, obviously, is depending on who you are. I personally would not play like Fated Memories and then this immediately after, because you might struggle with burnout if you're like me. But if you're a die-hard fan, then you know it's like dream come true. I would personally give it like a 3.5 out of 5, maybe. I don't know. My personal score is like a 3.5 out of 5, but judging by the popularity of Piofiore Fated Memories, I would say for everyone else it would probably be like 4 out of 5. Note that I am struggling with burnout in otome games in general right now, so my score might be a little bit harsh. I did enjoy the route though, so you know that's saying a lot. But yeah, I think that kind of is everything really. As is always the case, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and hopefully I'll see you in another one of my videos or streams. Bye!